wanted to shoot like last seconds, and I just have a crazy big pain in that moment. I trained even karate. I broke my tooth on the second training, and I was like, that's the way it should be.
Why the hell did you leave Györ?
Ball across to Dylan Nahi, double in flight. Oh, what a start!
Ooh, into the net.
She does it again.
Yes, Van Magdeburg are the champions of Europe. To come up with something here. She has a game. Surprise the keeper. What a comeback!
Then, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to talk handball again. Almost a new era of the spin, if you want to put it like that. Not just because I'm at home the first time recording this podcast, but well, we'll come to that shortly. We invited one face that you guys already know way too good. He scored 723 goals in the Champions League, if I counted correctly. I don't know anyone personally who scored that many goals in the Men's Champions League. Ladies and gentlemen, Victor Thomas, how's it going?
Hello. All good. Happy to be again with you guys, and today we are better joined than any day. You know, it's much better to see Andrea's face than Martin's face in the other side of the screen.
Absolutely, because you're touching it already. We have a new host that we can finally warmly welcome into this host squad. She joins in, having scored 1,073 goals in Europe's top flight competition. She stands for the internationalization of the game, went through the development from small halls into the depth of Serbia, into breaking world records in Budapest. What can she not do, ladies and gentlemen? Andrea Lekic, welcome. Good to have you.
Oh, thank you very much for inviting me and for sharing the stage with you guys. I'm truly happy, honestly, and it's always just a beautiful feeling joining you, because I always feel so relaxed and very welcomed. I'm not so sure if this is going to be until the end. Depends. From you, Bengt, mostly. Victor is always polite and nice, but you are just...
Yeah, well, that's what you
No,
get.
but I'm joking. I'm super happy and looking forward.
Sounds great. Actually, but where are you calling us from? So I looked it up, and it's been 4 months now that you've been off the handball court. Where are you at?
I'm home. So after 18 seasons, moved back to Belgrade. So it still feels strange when I say this in one way. I think Victor can also, say yes to these kind of things. Still, if he's not playing also a few years, sometimes it just feels strange that I'm not active and I'm not playing anymore. But I'm okay. I'm in peace in that way when I think about the decision. So for now, calling from home. Maybe next time is going to be a next destination. We're going to see.
Yeah, Victor, how do you feel about it? Well, it's obviously different for you because you haven't ever left, but the first 2-3 months after exiting the stage, after leaving the handball stage, how were they for you?
The thing is that Andrea is keeping her really busy, as we can all feel in the WhatsApp group. She's never replying the WhatsApp group.
She has learned from the best. I can promise you that.
For the podcast, and I think that's good. You know, once you retire, you have to keep you busy because otherwise your mind starts to think too much, and I think it's tough. It's a tough moment. I wish that Andrea is not going as down as I was going, because it's a big change, you know, it's a big impact. You go from being the main actor and actress in the biggest stages in Europe in handball, to just be in the stands and nobody's seeing you. You know, so it's quite hard to assimilate, but I hope that she can keep herself busy, and I'm sure she's gonna do a great work, whatever she's doing next.
So then, first question to you, Andrea. At first, how are you, and what have you been up to the last 4 months?
I'm good. I'm a bit tired, but that's the thing what Victor was talking about now. It's a different tiredness. It's a different way of work, different way of life, and definitely a new way of thinking, let's say, about the things which are happening around me. I'm now like in last 25 days I took over the position of a general manager of all national women's national teams. So I'm happy because I always somehow considered if we have a chance as ex-athletes or whatever handball players to influence on our sport in general. And if we are like ready to take over this position, we can, I think, help a lot if the conditions are good. Let's say if not, we should create the conditions. Then let's somehow put some good impact on our game. That's what I'm trying to do. And of course, as he said about the emotions and finishing the career, the first moment when I truly felt what Victor said now was now watching the national team game and me standing on the tribune. In a way, first that I couldn't help, and in another point of view, it's just like you're feeling that you're not influencing and somehow everything is happening and you're somehow outside of the magnificent handball field. So it was very tough for me, I have to say. It was just the first time when I questioned my decision in the way, okay, that's just a moment, I should stay calm. Or like, I really want to have the jersey on myself and do some stuff there. But no, indeed, when the match has gone, I was like, okay, no, it's just fine. It was just for 60 minutes. I need to get used to it into this new role. So good, all good.
But do you feel like in the long run you are in a position where you can still impact the game?
I am. I have the feeling. I mean, listen, it's just too early. I try to be realistic. Like 20 days is not enough to make an evaluation of the things until now. But what is good, I think I'm surrounded by the quality people. With the quality people, and I think that's the most important. So I can also expand my knowledge, or I'm going to also, I hope, I learn a lot about this position and the way how to manage all the stuffs which are coming along the way. The most important is that I really have, let's say, a lot of energy and a lot of will and motivation for this job. Call it like this. Indeed, I don't feel it like a job, more as something that I really and truly love. But I will see, it's just, it's a really short period of time. I was thinking like last 3 months, if that's the role that I want to see myself in. But I don't think that there is a wrong answer in this period of life, honestly. I need to try so in order to know how I will feel and how much I will fit in.
Yeah, fair enough. And that's where we are basically gonna just jump over to your career. And I was looking a little bit into the direction, how do we want to set up this podcast? Since you are a new host here, we have to get to know you. And I wanted to start there from the very, very start. How was Andrea Lekic like as a kid? So when you were little, how did you grow up? How did you grow up in Belgrade? Do you have siblings? Tell us a little bit about little Andrea that hasn't played handball yet.
I mean, I tried all possible sport. I was a kid who always was running with the ball, around the ball, and these kind of things. But what is really interesting, I have my brother, older brother, 6 years than me. And the thing is that I train even karate for 4 years. So even though I like the sport with ball, I started with karate as a basic sport. I was really good in that, but at the end I got bored. Then I went to, because there is no ball, no. So in one moment, and then afterwards, So just keep talking with me on a different way. So the thing is that afterwards I tried playing tennis, but then my parents and my family didn't have enough money to support the tennis dreams. About that, then afterwards I went shortly volleyball. I got bored as hell because of this move for the whole training, so I got bored also there. I started playing basketball shortly, but it was not easy to organize the school and basketball, so at the end I ended up on handball with my best friend. She started playing handball in that age, like 10, and I just follow her and I stay there, definitely. So I mean, kind of interesting road to arrive to a handball field.
Yeah, Victor, we probably don't need to ask you about volleyball or basketball, do we?
Why do you make that question?
Just as an interesting one, because while Andrea made her way to the top of the world, you made your way to the top of the world. Maybe there's parallels.
Who might think that I could make the career I did with 1.77 m, right?
Stephen Curry isn't the tallest either.
Exactly. No, I didn't try volleyball. I didn't try basketball. I actually wanted to play real sports. And for me, handball was the first and the last. I don't even try football. I was hesitating at some point, but handball was always my thing.
Yeah, fair enough. And I mean, it is a
But
beautiful
why?
sport, and happily,
Why?
Andrea.
This I don't know.
Why? Because in my family, my father is a huge handball fan, and he used to be a player in an amateur level. Also, he was a coach, and I was joining him in the Palau Blaugrana all the time when it was a game, and I just grew up watching Barcelona from the 90s, which was one of the best teams in handball history, and that's why I got engaged with handball.
I just don't know if Bengt trained something, you know? He was doing some sport.
Yeah, well, great question. It is a good one. I was a football guy all the way. Just never talented. That's why I'm sitting here with you. But yeah, well, not everyone is meant for the biggest stage here, and that's totally fine. That's totally fine. 183 didn't help me for a career either. So it's not about height, Victor. That's for sure. That's for sure.
Yes, I'm the proof of that.
Yeah, definitely, and I'm in the other direction. But let's stick it here with Andrea and her career. So you then finally first touched a handball. Why did you stick with it? So what was it that fixed you about handball?
I broke my tooth on the second training and I was like, that's the way it should be. I was like, that's the toughness I want.
Okay.
So, no, but it's even not a joke. But it's not even a joke. I mean, I think it was attractive for me, you know. And I think with the speed and with everything, I fall in love with the ball. And, you know, I could combo because I love basketball also. So I could also dribble the ball there. And probably I found the connection in everything possible. Then you could be much more creative in that way. And I think this is what I loved. And now why I stayed, I had a great first coach and a great second coach. So I got attached to them. They showed me the love and the passion for the game. And I think this was my biggest magnet for staying in handball. That's for sure. Yeah. And all the other consequences which came with that. But still, you know, love is love.
You broke your toe. How did you break your toe?
Not a toe, tooth. No, I mean, it was an elbow in the face, just classically.
Yeah.
So I came home and my mother was crying more than me. So yeah, that was like, you should stop playing handball.
And you were like, oh, well,
And I
that's the
just started.
closest to karate that I'm going to get? Or what motivated you then?
Exactly. It was like, you should get used to it. Come on. You should get used to it.
Yeah.
It's just a normal
Fair
thing.
enough. And we are more than happy that you actually stuck to handball because it was a glorious career that actually followed. We don't need to go through each and every detail because I feel like you are one of the most media present women there is in handball. And people know a lot already. But let's look at your career in general because it was Serbia and Montenegro, Serbia, Slovenia, Hungary, North Macedonia, Romania, Montenegro, Slovenia, and Hungary again. Weren't you ever interested in going abroad? Not saying going abroad, but leaving Eastern Europe, leaving the Balkan.
No, but I wanted to play in Scandinavia. This was always my dream. But in the moment when I was on the stage in the way that I was already recognized as a good and a top quality player, Scandinavia was low, very low with the quality. It was the crisis which basically was Scandinavia facing in that moment. So for me, it was not interesting to be a part of the clubs which are not the strongest one in the Europe. That was the reason why I decided to stay in the clubs which were among the best clubs in the Europe. And fortunately, they were somehow very close to my home. Yeah, so I mean, that simply was that one.
Hey, Jan, I mean, it is a good place to be for handball, that is for sure. And eventually you have seen a lot. So it wasn't just one country. You came around basically everywhere in the Balkan and Eastern Europe. Victor, for you as a one-club man, what's the major difference in between these two paths? And does Andreas' way sound charming to you at all?
No, I think Andreas' way is is really interesting. I think that if in Belgrade would have been a team that would be competing top of the top, you know, for all her career, and she would have the opportunity to be a player for that club in her own town, and develop a career there, who was fulfilling her goals as a player, I'm sure she would stay in Belgrade as well, probably, But I think it's a very interesting career, having also 2 stages in Krim, which in some points has been one of the best teams in women handball history. Also in Vardar, when Vardar started this big project and they arrived to the Champions League final. She's been, always in the front line, even though when she was changing teams. And I think it's a very interesting thing, because you can pick things that you like and things that you don't like from coaches, teammates, and cultures as well. And I think it's an interesting and amazing career.
It most definitely is, and you touch Krim here already, because that is the next station that I want to talk about with you. It was the first time that you moved abroad, so that you actually left Serbia. How did that feel? How was it for you?
I mean, as Victor said, just to go back in a second, I would definitely love to be in my city, having such a club as he played for. So I think that's such a different mindset in a way, because you're constantly fighting to stay in the club, to prove your value in one way, because everyone wants to come to Barca and play and take his place. It's also another thing, to challenge yourself constantly, let's say like that, on that way, and having the best possible goals what one athlete can have. So I would love that I have this opportunity in another way. I gained a lot in meeting a lot of people and living let's say a different life in that way. But in another point of view, as I said, going back to Krim, it was crazy tough. The first year I was like on the edge, if I can do it or I can't. Just stepped into the zone of the Champions League team after the Serbian league. That looked like a nightmare. Mm-hmm. And I was my self-confidence, which I had, suddenly disappeared. So I was questioning myself if I'm able to compete on that level. In that moment, the only, let's say, turning point was, I think, this disappointment in myself, and then the point that I had a contract for 2 more years, and I was thinking like, okay, it's time to train hard, to give everything what you can, and you can always come back home. And it's important role of parents in that moment. It's like, we are here to support you. So if there is nothing there for you which can hold you there and which is really like bringing you joy, you can always go back home. So I think that was one of the most important thing in my turning point, when I felt, okay, I'm gonna give everything from myself the next year. And next year suddenly worked out. I learned how to play the matches with the pressure. The first one was experience. And I had very tough and famous teammates in the first year. And that made the thing so much harder, because they were such a players and I couldn't compete on their level. As a middle back, first middle back got injured, suddenly got a chance to play for 60 minutes, surrounded by the players who I admired. So I was lost in space. For the first year, yeah.
Actually, who helped you? So was there someone in particular where you're like, oh, well, that's the one that I looked up to arrive in Krim?
Yeah. As everyone knows, I love to play with the line player, and the line player was Lyudmila Bodnjeva in that moment in Krim, and I think she was the best in the world in that moment. So just imagine the moment of a young middle back arriving to let's say play with her, like to get some minutes. Just passing her the ball would sound for me like a dream come true, and that happened to me indeed. And I had next years to play with her, learned a lot. Before that, I didn't really have a clue what it means seriously playing with a line player. I just came from Serbia, a very young player, and I just got a crazy opportunity, which I'm so happy that it turned out as a great move.
Now that you said that it was very tough for you, because for me in this jump from the youth teams to the professional team, I was at home and I was surrounded with my family, so my solid and rock points were next to me, and it was very tough for me, to make this mindset change from playing with friends to professionalism, to be fighting for a spot, to these different relationships that you have when you are a kid and when you have to grow up and compete for winning your salary, So now you said it was very tough. How tough it was? It was like mentally you arrived some point that you said, I want to go back. I just F this, you know, you don't have to put a beep.
Forget.
Yeah. I go back just to
Yeah.
Belgrade and I stay there with my family. How tough it was actually.
It's just like goes. We have to remember that there was no video calls. There was Skype, which network and internet was not the best one, so I was not able to talk with my family that much. You know, it was kind of expensive. You couldn't call the people constantly, and you couldn't get that certain, as you said, wall behind you. So and a rock to basically have a support. And I one moment of nights of crying, being unsuccessful, trying to throw even a single pass in one moment. So these living legends in that moment, I was just like devastated. And I was in that years, I don't know how you did it, but I was really criticizing myself a lot. You know, my expectations were very high, and I didn't somehow manage to be satisfied with myself. And I think I was very harsh towards myself in that period of time. And I also didn't brag much. I didn't call my family to cry because I didn't want them to feel also harder with me being in that position. But at the end, I cannot even explain how hard was it. And it was the horrible season. Everyone got injured. So suddenly from a very great first moment to a moment where we didn't succeed to pass the round in the Champions League. So imagine people, of course, talking that I'm not talented enough to be a part of Krim. You know how it goes. If you don't satisfy the audience, and then a lot of people are talking, and being young, it's not easy to cope with that. But I just decided to close myself in the gym in between first and second season, and I said, I'm gonna give it a try, gonna die here now on the court. Changed my habits. I learned a lot throughout this year. Also had a lot of matches finally with a quality people. So the second year, I think I was the second best scorer in the Champions League, or third. So it was like a crazy big jump.
Sorry, I'm doing a huge jump in the protocol of this interview, but do you feel that right now, what we are talking about, it's much softer everywhere? It's much the veterans in the locker rooms, the captains, the players who has been playing in the teams for long time and are handling the pressure moments normally during the game time. Do you think that these players are much softer now with the younger generations? And do you feel that's okay, or you feel sometimes all these experiences that you had, even though at this moment were really bad, they made the person who you are now, and they just shaped your personality?
I would say the truth is on the middle somewhere. I think there is also a thing that you, as experienced player, you have ability to judge which approach you should choose to a certain person and a certain player. I think it's so important, as you said, so you can rely on the best possible people what you have in the squad. That doesn't mean the best player, but the player who can give you the best advice, who is just gonna hug you and say it's gonna be fine. Let's make it. In that moment, it was much tougher before. I felt it so much. So in that moment, I didn't feel that I could go and ask. It's also probably up to me that I didn't felt this freedom, in the way that I was so open that I couldn't ask. But that was my first year outside of my home, and I didn't feel that I could ask, can you help me, or what should I just felt in my brain, give me the ball. You didn't do well, So it was just this moment that I felt like I'm on my own, that's how I felt the first year. And I think it's always good when you see a young player struggling, always good just for the beginning to give them a hug. And then after to try to help them, because we are all struggling and having our own battles, which is, as we all know, it's not easy to cope with. So it's important. I don't know, I think you also had a really hard, probably tough teammates. Yeah. But I really experienced that part. But in the other point of view, when you say it, there is a now, you should find the line, what is the right support, because I would say the generations are different, definitely, than we were. And I think usually sometimes young players are getting this message as a call to a freedom. So sometimes it's just used in another way. So yeah, I mean, finding the right balance and finding the right way to talk with a young player is an art. I would call it like that.
I'm gonna do the third one and then I shut up, Ben. Sorry.
No,
because,
all good. You
because,
keep going for the next
Yeah.
hour.
because everybody.
No, I love it because people don't ask that. I love it.
But
That's
everybody
yeah.
is asking you, and I got the same question many times. That which are your highest in your career? But I want to ask you, which was your lowest point, in mentally speaking, or physically, or whatever? What was your lowest point, and how did moment affected in the rest of your career? You know, do you think that having these low moments, it made you as a professional athlete to feel grateful when the good moments are coming back, and to feel even more lucky to be able to be a professional athlete and to do what you want and to get paid for that? So yeah, what was your lowest point, and how did point shaped you for the future?
How I see it, I think that different age, of course, different way of thinking. In that moment, the lowest was this, what I was living with Krim, but the lowest moment was the first lowest moment, I would call it like that, when I got to the point that I realized that I'm not able to compete on the qualifications for the Olympic Games when I broke my Achilles tendon. That was like I achieved and I did a lot of things in my career, but there is this one single thing and has been always the biggest drive for me. It was that one. So my Achilles were broken in the COVID period in the European Championship. And suddenly I just realized, okay, there is no chance for me to be part of that. I got broken completely into the pieces. And also when I lost finals of the World Championship 2013, Serbia, Belgrade, my hometown. But I was extremely injured with a dislocated foot in the semifinal and playing under a huge, let's say, injections and painkillers, which literally I didn't feel my leg throughout the finals. So, and losing the Champions League finals. All the injuries which I had and I had to face, and I had a lot of surgeries, unfortunately, throughout my career, was something that I learned how to cope with, you know. But you cannot bring back the time in the moments when you wanted to be most present, and those moments when I got this Achilles torn. And that was like, okay, now that's it. I mean, I needed to, somehow I need a lot of time to understand and to cope with that do I really want to go back, you know, and that way. And then it came the motivation step-by-step method. So yeah, but that was terrible, literally terrible.
But actually, how did you handle those situations? So you said that you were devastated on the ground, but how did you pull yourself back up?
I have to tell you, this was also connected to the situation in the federation in the very same period of time, that I think that we didn't, as a country, choose the right way for the national team to function. So you can imagine a lot of not good emotions connected with everything, and thinking that you deserve more, the team deserves more in this way of functioning. But so everything came together suddenly. It was not only my injury, that would be okay. So many emotions around that was following the situation. I just got I think I'm saying this for the first time. In that moment, I just got a very, very bad prognosis, and in the way of like that, for a very, let's say, important person in that moment to stop playing handball and just taking some function in the Serbian sport. And I just said, I mean, I just want to play handball, you know. Like, he just pulled me back, and I said it. I don't want to stop and just start working. I just want to do what I love the most. And then I said to myself, yeah, but that's the thing. You want to do what you love the most. Surrounded myself with quality people. And I think this was my superpower and a belief in a thing that I was doing.
But I have to tell you, I've been to some low points as well, and because when you are in this state of mind, when you are really low, you cannot decide clearly, you know, and you cannot think clearly because everything looks dark around you. And being able to still choose recover and play. If you had a good, opportunity to stop and then start another job, I have to, chapeau to that, because that's very, very difficult. And yeah, I just want to say congratulations, because that takes a lot of strength to do that, and that's not easy.
If you trust me, first, thank you for these words. But if you trust me, it really fills my eyes with tears. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. This is really the case now. It's something, when you ask me, it just provokes the emotion. Sometimes you just, as you know by yourself, sometimes you don't know even how you are doing the stuff and the things and what is the recipe to go over the obstacle. And I really, really, truly think it's love for this, what you are doing for. Because I don't know what would be a different, thing to do. Okay, you want to go back, you want to prove to yourself or whatever, that you are capable of, Your ego is suffering in one way. Everything what you did until yesterday just crashed and collapsed. And then it's just the moment like, okay, but I mean, I'm still able. I'm still having a good age to play handball, And I think I missed handball that much, that this emotion of like missing out everything what is happening on the court was the emotion which really kept me alive. I was like, if I miss that much, that means I need to go back and just be happy, and enjoying that moment. Even if it's going to be one single training, just give everything what you can, and then you will not regret in any point of view. I think that was my recipe throughout my career. Give everything you can. I mean, give yourself, and then it's just easier to sleep with the thoughts like I gave everything, fair enough. So I think that was the road. I don't know.
And you definitely did. So you gave it your everything, especially when you felt down first coming to Krim, while talking about difficult times and how difficult it is to move to a new country, meet a new team, be in a fulfilled locker room of stars all the way along. Was it even harder to arrive in Györ than at Krim?
It's a completely different point of view. In that way, I was shaping my name in the handball history. I was playing very well from 4 years. I was playing 3 very good seasons in Krim. So I got an offer from 3 or 4 clubs in that moment, and the decision was a very tough one. And I decided to go to Györ. One of the reasons was I like the vision the most, and I was thinking that's the club. It's fine to play good, and it's fine that everyone knows your name, but the trophies is what really I wanted always in my career, what I was chasing. And they looked like the most serious ones, like the club with a vision, club with a plan. And I think this attracted me that much. And there is another reason. It was Anita Gerbitz. And of course, I will never forget, getting a tons of questions. It's like, but why there? Why you're going there? Where is the best middle back in the world right now? Why you don't choose another club? And I was like, I mean, I need to compete with the best. There is where I developed my self-confidence in the way. I'm going to learn from her. I'm going to try to fight for my place. At the end, it's a huge honor to play together. At the end, we played together. I was playing even a right back a lot in the first year especially. And I learned a lot. But that was the road. It was tough. It was really tough. But at the end, we won the Champions League. So I think it was worthy. I think it was worthy more than. Yeah.
So how was your relationship when you say it was difficult to share the stage with her when it comes to playing time, but it still motivated you to go there?
I mean, she's a magician, She has been different from the old middle backs that I played with. Her wrist, her moves on the court, her intelligence, which is something different. The thing is, where I was a kiddo in that way. I mean, kiddo. I couldn't get to her point of view. I was, let's say, getting better and better with each and every training. But, when you're not mature enough, then you think that some things on the court are just not going in your favor. When you cannot see the situation correctly in that moment, and you don't, as Victor asked me, and you don't have no one to advise you. Basically, you are on your own in that way. You're always thinking there is something happening against you, They don't want to pass me the ball, or they don't want to get me better, or at the end, it's such a unmature thing. But you're realizing that training by training, match by match. And I was truly happy because playing there, it's a huge thing, and it's a huge pressure. And that's the first time when I started to cope with the pressure on that level.
Fair enough. Victor, you looked like you wanted to add on that,
Yeah.
or if not,
I want to add on everything, but then we wouldn't have time for dinner. But I want to ask you, because I don't know, maybe it was I don't know, something I do not know. Why did you leave Györ? Why did you leave the best team in the
I will
world?
tell you.
Okay, I'll interrupt
Yeah,
there
yeah.
because we are gonna get there. We are gonna get there in a bit, but
okay.
it's good because we are probably at the most interesting phase of your career, going to the biggest club in the world and achieving everything you have achieved. But I want to approach it a little differently. Let's look at the year 2012 first, because it was men's Euro in Serbia. It was a super successful tournament for the men, becoming second, only losing closely to Denmark. What did this trigger actually for Serbian handball in general? So how was the standing of handball in the country before, and how did that tournament change the settings for handball in Serbia?
When some things are happening in your country for the first time, that you are seeing them, you are still questioning everything in the way, how is this possible that this is happening in Serbia? Just bringing some other view on handball, giving you extra boost and just high hopes that this can also happen for women's handball. I was there. I was on the matches because in that period of time we had some off days and I could go to see and check it. So I was truly enjoying in the atmosphere. So I was present on some matches and I enjoyed. So it was crazy nice, But in that moment, in period of time, if you ask me in my life, everything was happening in the way I'm just having a crazy good time. Everything was good. I couldn't, and you're still young, you don't have any pains, you are good, you are flying, and you know how it goes. No big worries, you are in one of the best clubs in the Europe. Serbia is getting some attention in handball, which 20 years before that, something before was happening. But in that moment, something new again. So, just... I was not touching the ground, I would call it like that, because I was really enjoying. And it's always with a smile on my face when I remember that. So it's beautiful. Yeah.
And when you were experiencing that, could you have ever imagined that you would achieve something remotely close to what the men did?
Should I lie now?
No, you should be absolutely brutally honest. That's what this podcast is about.
No, I have to tell you. So when we are going just a parallel thing with the national team, that we have never... So since I joined them 2006, we have never in the national team passed the group in a major competition. So we didn't went out from the first round though. So you asked me, would I experience, and would I had in my craziest dreams. In Serbia, we have a tradition that when the athletes are winning, like also in Spain, in Germany, athletes are winning, they are coming on in the center, we have a huge balcony. And I was the kid who was always waiting for the athletes to come from the competition with a medal. So, I was visualizing the moment of one day I'm going to be there. But in that moment, handball didn't have a bright future at all. So I just had it in my mind, I was living for that in one way. But I was really not even close to that. But we got a crazy big chance. Holland has resigned from the 2012. Serbia got a European Championship. And then we played it in December. We were fourth. And so when you get a boost from European fourth, 2012, suddenly from nowhere, we created the chemistry, what was completely insane. So you could feel that the group is really ready to do some great stuff. But the only thing what, let's say, bothers me after this is just that you cannot create the constant results without the system. And this is what we faced in the future. We're going to talk about that, but yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. But then let's stick with the national team here for a second, because you just said, it was such an amazing team chemistry that you guys had, and it almost came out of nowhere. What ignited the spark? What ignited the spark within the team that you guys were suddenly flying?
What was really cool, I would say, in that moment, we were aware of opportunity playing in our front fans. And playing at the home court in Serbia brings, as in every country, brings insane joy and insane energy. And suddenly we also had to say that we had a very nice group of older, experienced players. We had a really good role in the other teams. So I think it was the perfect period of the players my age. They also were taking the role, let's say the leaders in their own teams. So suddenly we had the players with a kind of nice experience in the Europe already. I think the cubes were just like together in one moment. It was also, I don't know if you can call it luck, but I don't believe in coincidences. It was just like perfect moment for us as a group to stand.
I think that sometimes the timing and the momentum, you just can feel it when you are inside the group, and I think that you felt that in that moment the same way when you play a big championship in your own country. It's just amazing. I experienced the same in 2013, the World Championship in Spain. We felt invincible. It was like, oh my God, that momentum. I have almost never felt that kind of energy inside the group, like, okay, we can beat anyone, and this, to feel this when you are in a group and when you are a professional athlete, that's amazing.
But that's what you said, that this feeling is, you cannot compare with anything else in the way how the group is breathing. You have feeling that everything is possible. That's the thing, and it's like there is a magic inside of the team, and you just go with the flow. You take the magic and you just follow the group. Yeah.
Was there one game in particular that you remember the most out of the World Cup back then?
Yeah, there is a game where we played. We faced Norway. Norway didn't lose any game until now. Like before that, probably last 20 years. So we played in the arena, and we finally got a hype in that moment in Serbia. So it was like already like 15,000 people on that match. And it was the moment that
Katrine Lunde was in her mid-30s?
Katrine Lunde was in her mid-30s, like feeling like 15 years old probably in that moment. So, we were losing 2 times -5 against Norway. And when they ask me how, I'd say I really don't know. We just believed in each other. It was not even any, I don't feel any, I cannot remember and recall any panic moments in the way like, okay, we cannot do it. It sounds really like not realistic what I'm saying, but Victor has lived this many times, but you just go like, we're gonna fix it. It's just this, that you truly believe in the one next to you and in the role what they're having. And we won it. We won against them. And for me, it was also like, we can just finish the championship. We just won against Norway with Nora Mor, Katrine Mulde, and all the rest, and Anja Edin and all the others of the court. And I was like, just close the championship. It's fine.
But the road went on a little bit. So you eventually faced Norway then in the final. So just looking it up, the Norway game was in the quarterfinal, and you faced Brazil in the final then. How was the game through your eyes? Did you get nervous before the game? How was the atmosphere inside the locker room?
Semi-final was against Poland. I am jumping to the ball which cannot be, let's say, caught in the air. I wanted to shoot like last seconds, and I just have a crazy big pain in that moment. I just injured my foot in the way that it was completely dislocated. I'm not talking even about the ankle, so I had a lot of blood in my leg. And I got the CT, and the prognosis were like 4 legs in 4 weeks. 4 legs. It was 4 weeks, like just being in a completely isolated position. And the finals were 2 days after that. So I just said, okay, just give me whatever you can give me to be able to play that one. They say, we can give you whatever you want, but the foot is not going to function, So I went through a torture next 2 days, just understanding that I was on the crutches for 2 days. So I had a crazy amount of painkillers, injections. Many years have passed now, and this kind of things. And the state of my brain was like, I cannot allow myself not playing this match because there is a chance once in a lifetime, highly injured. And I, believe it or not, Sanja Damjanovic was next to me. We were going out on the court, and my feeling was like I just stopped with my right leg on my left foot. And this is the place where I tore my Achilles. So everything started back then. Mm-hmm. And that was the moment I was like, okay, Sanja, can you just check up on me how I'm running? How do I look on the court? How does it look at all? So I didn't feel my leg from the knee down through the whole final. So I was very stressed. All my thoughts were there. if I would be able to do anything. I didn't play, of course, that final as I wanted to play because the brain was not there. It was just important to try. I did some things, but far from that as I wanted to look like. So I was very sad, of course, after the final. But many years after that, you just realize that I was also grateful witnessing the record in a women's attendance that moment with my city, over 20,000 people watching women's handball. So back then you couldn't understand it. You knew that it was huge, but now, yeah.
So looking back to the day, you would still do it exactly the same way you did?
I would probably do the same. Even though I regret it many years after, but just banked. Imagine the moment you should play in your own city or Victor, and then it's just like breaking the records. And we are all facing with a lot of pains throughout our career. It's just the thing how much you can hold and how good is to hold. That's also the thing,
I just want to add something to this. It's not a question. It's like, can you imagine how tough it is for a professional athlete that it's preparing for a long time? It's taking the team on your back sometimes and just leading and preparing both physically and mentally, and arguably this could be the most important game in your life. We could argue about this, and in this particular moment when a player has to play the most important game in her life, she's not fit to play. So how tough you have to be physically and mentally to face this situation and then cope with it, because then you lose the game in your home soil, not performing the way you want. But still, when I hear you, Andrea, talking about this game, I still can hear proudness, because what you did, it's what a warrior would do, and I can hear proudness. But for all the people who is out there listening to us, it's a great life to be a professional athlete, but there is some really, really tough moments, which, as we can hear now, Andrea talking about this game, maybe it's the game that you have played being more injured in your career, and that's really, really tough to accept that you are for a long time preparing for this, and in this particular moment you cannot perform and help the team the way you want, and cope with this for the future. It's just really, really difficult.
I mean, and thank you for these words. But as we know, there is this famous moment that only family and friends and people who are next to us can know what the life of a professional athlete brings. And of course, the people can see already just mostly the biggest trophies and successes, and us being the most happiest, in those kind of moments. But I think that sport should be really more open and more ready, and athletes should be more ready to talk about very tough periods which are they facing throughout their careers, as a lesson to the ones who are starting or who are gonna, let's say, feel this along the way. I would say it like that. I think this story and your story and people who are facing with the serious physical issues are just bringing another way of a perspective, like looking on a sport in that way and how to cope with that, what to do in these kind of situations, and how to stay like fit, but mentally, firstly, because this brings some consequences throughout the life if you don't solve them in the moments after that.
When was for you the moment when the pride took over of what you achieved in that winter?
I could say that, believe it or not, like maybe a few years ago, I just needed a long period of time. I would say many years, many years. And I cannot say I couldn't live with that because we are still doing sports, but it's just hard to bring this and to take this with you constantly, because it's somewhere here, it just stands here, and whoever meets you says it was amazing, it's the first medal for Serbia, but you can hear, if they don't say but, you have but here. standing somewhere saying, but yeah, we didn't win the gold, you know? And for many years, just many, many years.
Yeah, it's a huge pressure that is being put on your shoulders, especially in that year, I feel like, because you were in your absolute prime. You were, carrying the country, and that's when, of course, people start to lift their expectations, I feel like, because, at first you leave the group, but then the people start dreaming. But nevertheless, I think everyone will agree that it is above and beyond the believable what you guys did that year. It wasn't the only thing that you actually won that year, because in your second year at Györ, you finally managed to lift the Champions League trophy. It was an almost flawless run that you guys had. Went flawless through the group, flawless through the main round. The first really close game that you guys had was against Valcha in the semi-final there. How was that game for you? And do you remember the days between? Because it was still first leg and second leg back in the days.
Well, of course that I remember that one. I mean, we were almost at the edge to lose the semi-final at home court. We played good there in Rania, then second leg playing home. In one moment that we were losing -4, something like that, and it was like almost impossible. Remember Martin Ambros on a bench calling the timeout. We just look at each other and said, okay, that's impossible, that our dream is gonna just vanish now, you know? That's how it is. You're playing on your home court. We were playing in Veszprém Arena in that moment, both legs, as you said, playing. And we did crazy stuff. I mean, we had a bit of luck in some moments, I would call it like that. Or I think we also deserved it because that year was really magnificent for us in the way of how dominant we were in all the matches. So, I mean, at the end, I will never forget the day when I woke up on the day of finals. What we played, and Nemzeti Sport in that moment was having a huge sentence, like, because I think that one year was, I think they were dropping out for 7 times. We were dropping out 7 times, semi-finals and finals. So losing. And there was like, is Györ cursed or not? You know? And it was like, you know, you're getting like the newspapers with the TVs together, and then you're reading and you're like, okay, I mean, that's not the best motivation, but we're gonna take it from there. So yes, there was a lot of things going around that club and still going around. They are having the standard inequality. I would say it was back then, and it was still since today.
Yeah, fair enough. And the way moved on, you did eventually overcome Valcha and made your way to the final where you guys actually faced Larvik. The pressure probably got immense back in the days, didn't it?
It was crazy big. I mean, now when I remember, now coping with the pressure, and back then it was like 2 different players, It's just normal, First time in life you're playing the Champions League final. I mean, not second time, I lost with Budućnost, and I think this experience meant a world to me, the one which we lost last year, the year before that, and I was like, okay, we cannot lose twice in a row, no? And then it was like, I can just remember insane happiness, but we felt very dominant, I would say, like that. We played a good match in Norway. Then we had the return match at home court. And it was somehow, I think, also, the moment is now, this was the first Champions League trophy for Györ. So for the club, we started back then, 2013 was the year where the club started winning Champions League until today. So imagine, I mean, when you win the first one for the club, for yourself and for the club, it was the biggest pride and happiness.
Did it get easier afterwards? Did it get easier after having won the Champions League?
I mean, it got, I think Victor can also say he won it too many times. So the thing is also that you are just like, now finally I can breathe. There is something marked in my career which is that big. Mm-hmm. But you know that, okay, we'll come to that point but when you ask me these kind of questions, you know what I find my biggest blessing and I would call success throughout my career is the path that I took and the people who I met along the way. I know trophies and the great stuff, and I know it's just like what we are working for, but to remember all these kind of moments, people that you met, situation what you faced, the way how you got matured through your career, it's unbelievable.
Well, just one more thing into the direction of that Champions League final, because I feel like it's especially interesting to talk with you about it. You won your Champions League title in a dominant way, like you said. So you never feared to lose that game. Do you prefer it like that, or Champions League semi-final 2023, where Emily Bölk scores it in the last second to push you guys to the final? It wasn't a final back in the days, but in general, what kind of victory would you have preferred for that day especially?
But I don't really know an athlete who is gonna be just give me that one. I want to feel the stress until the last second, or you wanna go with a smooth and dominant win and just be happy for the last of the 5
But
minutes.
imagine the
at end of the
dopamine
match.
afterwards.
But the dopamine it's not measurable. You cannot compare the dopamine in that moment and this one. I can agree, but the fans are always cheering for the penalties because it's so cool, it's so attractive, it's so nice to watch. And I think players are like, again, penalties. It's gonna be, So I don't know what Victor thinks about that, but
It's hard.
it's just
to
nice
say.
when you're dominant, I think.
It's hard to say. I think
know.
that pressure moments, it's what define us as a players, and I think to win a game which has been very, very close through the whole time, and I think it's great, but also it's great to enjoy a victory of a big championship during the game, knowing that you already have the gold medal in your neck, So I would say that it's nicer to do it with a very tense final, but experiencing a smooth victory, it's also nice.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially in the Champions League final, eh? But talking about...
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just want to say, I mean, it's beautiful to experience the dopamine. As I said, I'm just laughing because I just, million thoughts in one question. It's just, it's beautiful. But another way, you're like, beep, come on. I mean,
Yeah, fair.
It's like you're getting older. You're getting older through these moments. Like you're aging much faster in these kind of situations.
Yeah, understandable. But talking about final victories, Victor, the first one is the most special one, question mark?
For me, not. For me, no. Because the circumstances that you are in throughout the year and also sometimes you have more impact in the team sports-wise, and sometimes you have less impact in the team. And in my case, no, it was not the best one. It was the one that when I see now the 2005 game Barcelona Ciudad Real with 2 legs, playing first in Ciudad Real and then in Barcelona, I feel that handball has changed, but I still feel that it was great. But for me, winning in Barcelona was very special. When the format changed, I think it was very good for the product, for handball, internationally. But it was very, very special to play these away and home matches because you had the chance to win at home. And this is something really special.
Yeah, fair enough. Not very comparable, to put it like that. But that is fair. And Victor, now you can go ahead with the question that we put behind.
Why the hell did you leave Györ?
I mean, that's crazy. I think that's part of my character, I would say it. Rather write this. I have always somehow liked some, I don't know how to call it, but maybe challenges throughout my career. That's why I also choose the Györ, no? Because I want a challenge. I didn't want to go to a comfort zone and being a first middle back. In that moment, honestly, I felt myself like I need to develop more in the way that I want to lead the team. So that was just, let's say, I call it a personal goal. I could be there, of course, and stay and play, but I don't know if I could be able to develop myself in let's say, a team leader, which I wanted to be. I wanted to try what it means to drag completely the team in the way that you have the ball in your hands, that you can influence and impact the game much more. That was just was just the idea.
I want to go a little bit deeper on that. Why did you feel that you couldn't develop that way in Györ?
But because I didn't have enough minutes, if in my point of view, on my own position. So I was playing middle back in the certain moments, but not in the majority. I had a lot of minutes of playing indeed, because Ambros' system was like, we were really changing the positions a lot. So many times I was finishing on a middle back, many, many, many times. And I was also starting as a middle back, but in my brain, I was like, I didn't have, let's say, open hands to develop myself. You understand? Like, I didn't have space enough space to give my best still. I felt that there is so much more that I can bring to the court. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As a personal development. That was the reason. And I was like, okay, maybe if I am the part of a new project, I could also choose also different. In that moment, we won the Champions League, But then I just felt it like, okay, I mean, maybe it's the moment to let's say, try develop myself and push myself even more. That was the thing, the challenge. And Vardar in that moment looked like a project bringing so many great players in that moment. And I don't think that I made a mistake. Maybe yes, in the number of trophies, that's for sure. But in the way what I got in Macedonia for these 5 years and the way how I felt there and how I developed, I really liked it. I lost 2 finals in the last second. So it could also be that I could win 2 finals in a last second,
Yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't
This could
choose
also
that
be
one.
the case.
You chose the
That
safety.
is the thing. That is the thing, exactly. So I mean, that's how it is, But yeah. It's the question which I ask myself. It's not only like I didn't brought the decision like this. Of course, it was not like they don't want me and we just go apart, So it was not that. It was just an open and honest conversation, like in the terms of the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was also fair enough, in that way.
Similar
It's
question that we
interesting.
had earlier. Are there any regrets?
Regrets? I don't know. I really don't. I don't regret. I think that my road. I was choosing it alone, in many situations. So I'm taking my own consequences. I don't think that I regret, in the way that I would do something differently. I would not jump in the semifinal in that way, in the 2013 for making a bad decision. But I think, I don't know, we all have some kind of special road, and I had really special one, and I would maybe not. I don't regret when I think about that. I am just, in one way, I think I would just go better, and I had a bigger, let's say, successes in the way that the handball in my country was developed, and the way that we were more educated about this sport. Mm-hmm. So I would maybe not face a lot of injuries and a lot of things along my road until I educated myself, learning on my, let's say, mistakes, because injuries were a tough part of my career.
Yeah, fair enough. I feel like there's 3 more hours of talking about your next station of the career alone. But we gotta come closer to an end in this podcast here. But there's one more topic that I want to touch, and you were talking about interesting projects that you were thrown into. You were talking about it on the playing court. But basically, ever since you touched the handball, you've been trying to develop the sport as well. So did you, while you were still active, a lot of projects to evolve the sport, respect your talent. You did youth camps, and which project along the way meant the most to you?
I think it's. I started with a camp, working with the kids, and I think that's a blessing what handball gave me, opportunity to share the knowledge and experience with the kids who are just stepping up on the stage. And for me, that was one of the turning points where I realized that I really want to take a part in the role of education of the kids. And I think that's somehow which I really starting to find out in that period of my career when I went to Györ, and when I realized how beautiful it is when you have opportunity to work with the kids. Mm-hmm. So I think that was the moment that I am really most proud of. And then afterwards it came respect your talent, then all the other projects.
And that brings us over to the modern days, actually, because even after your career, you simply won't let go of the handball. And I mean, that is the very, very good news for us. A lot more of Andrea Lekic to experience for us, but in a different role. On one hand side, as a podcast host now. So once again, warm welcome here into the squad. But then on the other side, there's the new EHF project, Her Playground. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about it. What is it about?
Her Playground is about creating a platform for all women's which are playing handball and all the other sports, feeling safe, feeling very welcome to open their thoughts and share their experience, facing different, let's say, difficulties, creating new opportunities for the youngsters, and talking about the women's sport in a global stage.
Mm-hmm. And well, basically showcasing the women's sport and celebrating what women are doing on the court, and it's totally needed. It's very, very appreciated that you guys are ambassadors for that project, because what problems do women in modern sports still face, apart from the obvious, apart from things like gender pay gap?
I mean, as you said it, Lamik, that's really a long, we could have a very long talk about that. I mean, the things which we are trying to first make, you need to make it more visible. As we know, the women's sport is getting a huge popularity all over the world, starting with the WNBA league, and then we are talking about the women's football, and Victor can feel it. In Spain, it's extremely popular, so female athletes are getting more and more visible. I don't have a feeling that is the same thing in handball. That's why I think it's very nice to have a platform where we can share our knowledge and experiences. And also another point of view, I don't think, talking about health-wise, that we are opening some important topics for the future, talking about the health and how we function under, let's say, different circumstances, in the way how the body functions, and why it's so important to get to know your body in order to get and be healthy and to gain some successes in the future. So there are many different areas that we are trying to cover. So what I see it as the most beautiful, we just started, and what we really need is the help from you guys, and that's why I'm happy that I'm sharing this hosting, let's say, stage with you, because I do know, and you have always warmly supported women's sport, and it's beautiful to see, because we always do need the help from the especially male colleagues.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely, and the support from the community out there too. So how can everybody who is listening actually actively support this project, Her Playground?
I would say that we need to raise the level of awareness, how important it is to open up and talk about the things which are facing to. I always think that the change is starting from ourselves. So that's why, like, being more ready to open up the things that you are facing, to share your visions, share your thoughts, share your ideas, basically to feel safe and free on the platform what we are trying to create.
And the start is way easier. You can just follow us on Instagram. So just join Her Playground on Instagram too. We will link it down here in the podcast as well. And yeah, then I would say let's close this podcast for today. It has been an amazing hour, very open and honest talks. Thank you, Andrea. What's your conclusion on your first podcast episode?
I mean, guys, when I'm with you, I don't have a feeling that it's even like a podcast. I have a feeling that we are chatting and having a very open and honest talk. I think it's important to just share the emotion as it is, to share the, let's say, honesty and our experiences. So for me, I feel really like talking with two friends and just enjoying your questions and your views on sport.
Yeah, Victor, we can keep it, can't we?
Yes, we try. I think that the only thing we're missing it's a nice cold beer, and then we can continue with the chat.
Yeah, fair enough. But
or a glass of wine, that's also okay.
That's also okay.
Whatever you guys feel like. But for today, we are going to close it down. We are very grateful to have you still in the handball world, Andrea, and more than happy to have you here in our podcast squad. And that's where we say thank you. Thank you for your honesty, for your openness, and thanks everybody out there for tuning in. And we will do the same the next time again, when it's time to talk handball again, everybody.
Ball across to Dylan. Nahi, double in flight. Oh, what a start.
Into the net.
She does it again. Yes.
Van Nijtenberg on the shot.